Our training today is about the importance of exercise for people with intellectual disabilities and is brought to you today by Milestone Hickey West with Emilia Hobbs. Emilia is a graduate of Slippery Rock University's Adapted Physical Activity Master's Program and works to improve the health of people with disabilities. We hope today's training will offer you some insights in assisting to improve the health and lives of those we support.
Today I'm going to be talking about some background information and statistics on physical activity and how it relates to people with disabilities. Then I'm going to talk about types of exercise with some examples. The three types of exercise I'm going to be talking about are aerobic, muscle strengthening, and balance and flexibility. Then I'm going to talk about tips for incorporating physical activity into your daily life. Finally, I'm going to end with some nutrition tips. First, my name is Emilia Hobbs, and I have a bachelor's degree in kinesiology from the University of Minnesota. Currently, I'm getting my master's degree in adapted physical activity in Slippery Rock. I have 5 years of experience working with people with various intellectual and developmental disabilities. Moving into statistics, in 2011 to 2014, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention found that 36.5% of all U.S. adults are categorized as obese. They measure obesity using BMI, or body mass index. This looks at your body weight versus your height. A BMI of over 30 is characterized as obese. They also found that 20% of U.S. adults are meeting the physical activity recommendations. Along with this, 30 minutes of physical activity a day significantly reduces your risk of diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, colon and breast cancer, and depression. Specifically for individuals with intellectual disabilities, the National Core Indicators found that 28% of these individuals are overweight and 34% are obese. In addition, 77% of them are not regularly active. Finally, 37% of them are on medication for mood disorders. Many people list common barriers for exercising. Some of these are a lack of time, energy, motivation, and resources. Additionally, many people have a fear of injury, and they're influenced by the social influence of their peers, friends, and family. Some tips for overcoming these barriers are to schedule physical activity into your day. If it's scheduled into your day, you know you're going to do it, you don't have to worry about finding the time. You also want to inform yourself on being safe. This helps you make sure that you know you're going to be safe, you don't have to be afraid of getting injured. You also want to overcome the tiredness that you may feel and exercise anyway. It may seem counterintuitive, but exercise actually has the potential to boost your energy. You also want to make sure you're doing exercises you're comfortable with. This will help you stay safe as well as make sure you're enjoying your physical activity. Another way to overcome the social influence of not exercising is to recruit someone to exercise with you, or an exercise buddy. This helps hold you accountable for exercising and make sure you're staying safe. There are many changes that you can see when you exercise regularly. First, I'll discuss some physiological changes. One is an increase in confidence. Another is an increase in social acceptance. You will also see an increase in your positive mood as you exercise. There are also physiological changes that you will see in your body once you start exercising. One is an increase in muscular and cardiovascular endurance. This ensures that your heart, lungs, and muscles can exercise for longer periods of time without feeling fatigued. Other changes you can see are an increase in your ability to perform ADLs, or activities of daily living, such as cleaning, cooking, and grooming. You also have an increased likelihood for living longer. There are also long-term impacts of being physically inactive. One of these is a decrease in your health-related quality of life. You may also see an increase in obesity and related disorders such as heart disease and diabetes, along with a decrease in your ability to perform these ADLs mentioned earlier. In addition, you see a decrease in muscle mass and bone density, which can lead to increased risk of falling and osteoporosis. It's important when thinking about physical health and physical activity to also consider your mental health. Some people find it difficult to exercise when they're feeling anxious or depressed, but it's important to exercise anyway because physical activity has the potential to improve mood and decrease stress in the short term and in the long term. So now that I've covered some background information, I'm going to move on into information on the types of physical activity and examples of them. The first type is aerobic. So it's recommended that individuals partake in 150 minutes of moderate intensity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity exercises a week. Moderate intensity exercises are things such as walking, ballroom dancing, water aerobics, biking slowly, and gardening. Vigorous intensity exercises are activities such as running or jogging, biking quickly, swimming laps, and hiking. A good way to tell if you're doing moderate or vigorous intensity exercise is to do what's called the talk test. This means if you're exercising and you can easily talk to someone who's next to you, then it's most likely moderate intensity. But if you're struggling to talk, it is categorized as a vigorous intensity exercise. The second type of physical activity is muscle strengthening. The recommendation for this are to perform muscle strengthening exercises twice a week. And this includes all major muscle groups in your legs, back, chest, core, and upper body. Examples of these are exercising with free weights or on the machines, with resistance bands, or doing exercises at home with your body weight, such as push-ups, burpees, and planks. The final type of physical activity is balance and flexibility. The recommendation for this is a little less specific, and they recommend that you do it as frequently as possible, specifically after you perform aerobic or muscle strengthening exercises. Examples of flexibility exercises are stretching, yoga, and Tai Chi. Flexibility and balance exercises are important because they help eliminate the delayed onset muscle soreness that you experience after working out. So now that you know the three types of exercise, I'm going to go over tips for incorporating these into your daily life. First, you want to work on changing your habits. So this starts with examining your current habits. An example of this would be to assess your current physical activity habits, if you find yourself exercising frequently, if you find yourself eating healthy or unhealthy. Then you want to determine target behaviors. So an example of this would be a target behavior could be to work out 3 times a week or to eat healthy every day. Next, you want to talk about the key barriers that keep you from reaching these goals. So examples would be if you do not live close to a fitness center, if the weather is poor outside, examples like that. Next, you want to set goals. This goal can be in terms of how often you're engaging in physical activity, or it can be in terms of the weight or measurements that you want to lose. Finally, you want to track those behaviors. That way you know if you're meeting your goals or not. In terms of physical activity, it helps just to move more in your daily life. Examples of doing this are parking farther away in the parking lot so you're forced to walk into the store, or taking the stairs instead of the elevator. These are easy ways to move throughout the day. You also want to make exercise a habit. Ways to do this are to do an exercise that you're enjoying. This makes it easy to want to get up and get moving. You also want to commit to another person. This person can hold you accountable, and maybe they'll even join you in your exercising goals. You also want to log the activities so that you know when you're exercising, and you can keep track of what exercises you like, what ones you don't like, and how they make you feel. And as I mentioned before, if you're feeling tired, you would want to exercise anyway because that can help make you feel energized and excited to do what you're doing. There are also multiple ways to exercise in the community. So ways to do this would be to walk or run around town, in a park, or even in nature. You can also set up a garden at your house or in the community. You can get a gym membership, and many gyms have group fitness classes that you can get involved in. There are also sport leagues that are in a lot of towns that you can find a sport that interests you and get involved with that. As the months get cold and rainy, it's hard to find the motivation to stay active, but there are many ways to do so. One would be going to the mall and walking around the stores or the kiosks in the mall. You can also go up and down the stairs at your house or at your apartment building or a nearby community center. There are also fitness centers that you can go to, and you can start a new class that you thought you might not want to start, but it seems exciting to you. You can also look up exercise videos online and find an exercise that you know you like, maybe Zumba or yoga, and watch a video for that and experiment with that. Another good thing to do when it's cold or rainy is to start a new class that you've been wanting to start that interests you. You also want to get excited about exercising because it should be exciting and it should be something that you enjoy. You also want to make sure you're refueling properly with a well-balanced diet of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and whole grains. You want to avoid rewarding yourself with unhealthy foods, as tempting as it is. The perfect post-workout snack, surprisingly, is chocolate milk. This is because the glucose in the chocolate replenishes your glucose stores, and the protein in the milk builds muscle. It's also important to remember that calories in do not always equal calories out, so the quality of your food does matter. Finally, it's important to stay safe while you're exercising. The biggest way to do this is to consult with a physician before you start any sort of exercise program. They'll tell you what's safe for you and what you should avoid. You also want to slowly increase your exercises in frequency and intensity. You also want to make sure you're comfortable with the exercises so that you're safe and enjoying yourself. Another way to stay safe is to exercise with others. That way, if something does happen, you know someone's there. In terms of progression, you want to slowly progress in intensity and frequency. An example of this, if you've never started an exercise program before, would be to start walking 10 minutes a day, then move on to 30 minutes a day of walking, and then finally get into 30 minutes of jogging or running. There are many resources for all the tips that I've been talking about. One of my favorite resources for finding hiking and biking trails is alltrails.com. Also, you can track your exercises using websites such as mapmyrun.com. They allow you to find running or walking routes as well as track your own. This is an online application, so you can see all your activity in one place. nchpad.org has valuable information specific to exercising for people with disabilities. In addition, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, has a website that is very informative on types of physical activity and the importance of physical activity in preventing disease. Now that I've provided you with valuable information and tips for incorporating exercise into your daily life, I'm going to bring in some individuals to talk about how they exercise and how they feel about it.